somebody this month?
I don't feel under pressure too much. We've obviously Loxon marvellous, for an indefinite period. It'll be away for we don't know how long, but other than that, we're in pretty good shape, and so we have maintained it. If we can strengthen and we can bring someone in who helps us and makes us better, then of course we'll look at that. And our recruitment team are really good, and they're on it. So we're always looking. But that being said, they've got to be the right person. They've got to fit into what we do and fit into the group and make us better. So, and that's difficult in January. It is difficult. Can I have a word with them, Shu? Shio and Pelly.
Go on. Listen to you, Stu. No.
Shut up.
Very positive to you. You talk about how good the recruitment team's been, and Ross obviously has been incredible since he's come in. You've tied Andros down now to a longer term contract. Is a real priority trying to tie Ross down to a longer term contract?
I don't think we ever said how long we signed him for.
Of course, it's the end of the year.
You'll have to do a bit of research on that one, Jay. He might have signed longer than that, mate.
Is he signed longer?
Well, look, I'm not going to say anything. We don't like to give too much away, but I'll let people go and do their work.
Yeah, but he has been a revelation, hasn't he?
He's been really good.
Unthinkable 6 months ago that people could be talking about Ross Barkley as potentially in the England squad for Euros, but he's put himself in the frame.
Again, I mean, that I've got to concentrate on the here and the now with Luton, and that's what Ross has got to do as well. I understand the talk because he's played so many times for his country before. But, it's been a good period. But, I think, and Ross will be the first to say it as well, he's got to keep doing it and keep that consistency in his football. And then you never know. But we certainly love him, and what he's doing for us at the moment is brilliant. Fans love him. Some of his performances you would pay to watch, and I think that's been great because it is an entertainment business, and we want to try and be entertaining whilst winning football matches. It's difficult all of the time, but players like Ross help.
There's a bit of a preamble to this question, so bear with me, but I think the analogy works. We were out for dinner with some pals last week, and I'm a journalist, salary which everyone in this room will tell you isn't great. My wife's a primary school teacher. We're having dinner with pals who are lawyers and bankers and work in the city. They're talking about all the exotic holidays they're going to go on this year. We'll be back if we get a week in Cornwall. Do you ever look at some other Premier League clubs and the business that they can do in the transfer window and think, God, I'd love to be in their shoes. I'd love to have the possibility to just go out and not have to think about first strings.
I think, Jay, maybe one day we'll be in that position. But I think we've got to look at where we've come from and what we can do now. And we're doing pretty well. We can compete. We've got to do it in our way. So I don't think, I don't see us as paupers. We just do it our way. And if it's a big if we can stay at this level and keep competing for a longer period of time, then we'll be in better positions to keep growing and building. Do you know what I mean? So I think maybe one day, but I don't see it. No, I don't see it like that. It's just this is the nature of it. It's our first year in the Premier League. We're never going to go out and be able to match a lot of the other clubs. But that doesn't mean we can't sign good players. We've got good players in the building as well. So I don't see it that way. I quite like the challenge of it.
Just finally for me on the game itself, it's obviously huge. Burnley won the championship at a counter last season, playing really attractive football. Vincent's obviously tried to do the same when he come up. And I don't know if being found out is the expression, but they've tried to play the same way and it hasn't worked. You've made Luton really difficult to beat. Do you think Burnley have been a bit naive in their approach, or that your approach is the way that you have to succeed if you're a side that comes up from the championship?
I don't think there's one way of playing football. I love what Vinny has done at that football club with his staff and his players, and they played really well in a lot of games. And I just think it's difficult to win football matches and get points in this league. It is really ruthless, but I really like what they do. It's a really difficult game for us. But they have improved. They have got better from last year, and they're a team that got over 100 points in the championship. We try and do things our way. We're still evolving and changing as well now. We're a different team now to what we were at the beginning of the season, and certainly last year. So, I can only concentrate on us and what we try and do. Yeah, we want to try and be hard to beat, but we want to try and play our way, and we want, and it's difficult, but we want to try and dominate games in our way as well. We want to try and be an aggressive team, and I feel we've been able to show that at times this year. But we're definitely improving and going the right way, Jay. I think the big message though is that football can be played in so many different ways and whatever works for you. But it's important to stress that Burnley have been in a lot of games, and you know, they've got a really good way of playing. They really, really have. So we prepared for it, and we'll go and give our best tomorrow night. Thank you.
Harold, speaking of Burnley, what did you take from that defeat to them earlier in the season?
Look, it was close. We could really compete with them. I think if you're going to press aggressively against them, then you've got to get your timing right. We got done with that, the first goal and a couple of moments before that as well, where our timing was a little bit off in our pressing, and they can play through you if you get it wrong. But it showed that we can compete with them as well. Kenilworth Road, I know, is quite unique, and they'll be looking forward to playing at their place against us. But we've had, including the Championship last year, a couple of really tight games against them. So we look forward to this one as well. But I think it also showed that we can hurt them, and the second half performance especially was really encouraging in that game.
I know every manager focuses on their team and the next game, but the ramifications of this particular match were you to win. We could see you come out of the relegation zone and put the pressure on Everton to perform on Sunday. Do you feel your team are ready to receive that kind of pressure and go for that challenge?
I hope so. I mean, we see every game as an opportunity to get 3 points, and this is the next one. And if we do, then great. We can jump up a little bit for a few hours at least anyway. But there's a long way to go, isn't there, as well this season? So it is just concentrate, I suppose, on this next one. But it's a good challenge for us, certainly. But this is a really difficult game, and we've got to look to perform well in it. Otherwise, we've got no chance. Because Burnley can, and they have, they've hurt a lot, bigger and better teams than us this year, and they've been close in a lot of games. So concentrate on the performance, and hopefully the result can look after itself. But I think they're ready. I think they're ready to show people that we can compete against anyone.
And then just finally, team news, please. Is Carlton Morris going to be in contention?
Carlton's in contention, yeah. He was just cramping up a little bit against Bolton, so that's been fine. Brownie's suspended anyway for this one, so without Brownie, he was feeling his knee in the Bolton game, but he'll be fit for our next one. But yeah, he's suspended for this one. Apart from that, obviously with Marv and Locks, we've got a decent complement to go up there. Yeah, thank you.
Well, how much better of a team are you now than when you faced Burnley in October?
We're a little bit more experienced, maybe a little bit more streetwise. I think form as well is important. I think we're confident. I think we're in good form, so we can take that into the game as well. But I think the big thing now is we've got a bit more of an understanding of the level and what is required to at least compete and be difficult to beat or to get points. So probably a little bit more streetwise, I think now.
How much more of an additional pressure is it when you're playing a team who are also at the bottom end of the Premier League?
I don't know. I mean, obviously we experienced one with Sheffield United not that long ago. We tried to make it as normal as possible. Everyone is aware of the situation. Everyone knows it's a big game. But because every game's just an opportunity for us, and we try and treat everyone on its merits and have the same plan going forward, or a different plan, but we plan in the same way. We try and keep it just level and like we would have been preparing for the playoff final last year, which was obviously a very big game, but we tried to make it as normal as we can.
How good of a team are they? What do they do well?
Obviously, they can control a game really, really well, but they'll look to unbalance you. They'll look to get in behind you quickly at every opportunity. They've got real weapons and speed on that top line. They've got a number of different ways to try and build and move you about. They can create different shapes in terms of their build-up as well. But I think they've probably got a little bit more. They would have done it last year in the Championship as well. Probably a little bit more variation in their play as well. Now I think there's if you do come onto them, they can miss it quickly, and they've got some good movements and ways of breaking that down as well. So they're quite a complicated team to play against, certainly.
And lastly for me, just overall this season, how much of a sort of expectation is there for you to stay up, or have you been given assurances that it's not as big of a deal as some may make out to be?
That's an interesting question. I mean, we all want to try and stay in the league. I mean, there's, I think we've got quite a bit of credit in the bank here, so I don't feel that we're under any sort of big pressure from the powers that be. But I think there's a real belief at this place that we can achieve something really, really special. And I think, maybe one or two people are starting to see that as well. But in the end, it doesn't really matter. We've got to get the results to do that ourselves. But I've got great people that I'm working for and with, and that certainly helps us, I think. So.
Rob, with the transfer window, is it a case of first getting players out before you then go and dive in?
There's a number of different ways to do it, isn't there, I suppose, but I'm not saying it's going to be players in either. It'd be, if it's one, if we stay as we are, I'd genuinely be happy as well. But I wouldn't be surprised to see like one or two little bits of change. But I think it's important to stress that I don't want too much. I do want to come out the window stronger, and I know we will do. But keeping a lot of what we've got is really important to me. I've experienced it before when we got promoted at Blackpool. Maybe a little bit of change in the January window can change things a bit, and that's always sort of stayed with me. That
there's this dynamic here, isn't there, where it's such a tight group that stay together. And some of those ones that aren't getting game time, Luke Berry, for instance, or Corley Woodrow, players that have been there a long time, Billy Willock, you won't want to make wholesale changes because that would alter the the squad.
Yeah, and you can see how important Pelly is to around the training ground anyway, whether he's on the pitch or off it. But we've got a real tight group that are all playing their part, whether they start the games, whether they come on, whether they're on the bench or whether they're in the squad. They're not, the training, the day-to-day, the harmony in the group that's important to me, and you need a squad for that. I want everyone to be. I think my job is to not necessarily keep everyone happy, because you can't. I don't think any manager can. You're up and down the country, you hear of players that might be unsettled. My job is to keep people motivated and focused, and I think we've got that at the moment.
Those type of players, and I'm thinking along the lines of Ryan Giles. I think he was the biggest transfer fee paid by the club. Can't get into the team for the FA Cup game. How's his mindset? Does he knock on your door and say, "How am I not getting into this team ever?"
I think, but that team was pretty strong, wasn't it? We played pretty much the team that would have played in the league, and I wanted to try and keep consistency in the performance, and that was what I chose to do. We didn't have like a midweek game coming up, and I thought it was the right thing. No, the answer is to, people want to come and see me. My door's always open. I've had lots of conversations with players. I'm constantly trying to do that every day. Again, there'll be frustrations because people want to play, but the way you do that is by performing well out there on the training pitch, and then when you get your opportunity to take it. Gilo played half a game against Newcastle and we won, played 70 minutes against Sheffield United and we won. He's been important, but other people as well have pushed and have performed really, really well as well, and it just gives me difficult decisions to make. So that's just the nature of elite level football. Really, there's going to be people that don't start games. That's the bit that keeps me up at night. It's the hardest bit of my job, selecting a team and disappointing people. And I never like that bit, but it's part of the job.
Have you had inquiries about any of those players that aren't quite getting in?
I think there's always going to be inquiries. It's natural, isn't it? There would be. I think it shows that we've got some good players here, people that have obviously performed, say at championship level as well, and done really, really well. So there's always going to be a bit of interest, but there's nothing that interests us in losing anyone at the moment.
With the position that Luton are in, where you've got all real chance of survival. Is the club in a funny situation to whether they go for it as far as signing players is concerned, or is there a bit of a balancing act as to know where you might be?
I just think there's just a plan here, and we'll stick to that. We'll be backed if we think there's someone that can really help us. But again, when I say we'll be backed, it's that there's a level to that, isn't there? But that's fine. That's just what we do. But I think if you look at some of the performance levels of a lot of our lads this season, it's probably quite a lot of value building in this group of players as well. So we're doing all right from that side of things. So we'll just try and keep performing, and again, we'll stick to our plan. And if there's someone, as I say, I'm sure we'll get backed, but it'll be a certain level.
Yeah, I was going to say, to get better than what you've got costs a lot of money.
It does, and yeah, you're right. It's difficult, and especially in January where there's a real premium. And you're a Premier League club, then there's always going to be a premium on players that you're going to buy in January. So we understand that, and I think our supporters and everyone understand that as well, because they've been used to how we operate for a long time now, and it's gone pretty well so far.
Can I begin by saying how do you get the team spirit how it is? Because obviously it's very good here.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, I was lucky when I came in here, a year and a bit ago, when Richie and Trolls came in, that we were already coming into a brilliant group. We've got amazing staff that are up for a laugh, and I think it's important we do have a laugh, we do smile, we do take the mick out of each other every day. The players do as well. I think that's important, and it's important. I think the messages that we talk about, being brave, it's all right to make mistakes, we're human beings. As long as we react in the right way, it allows people to go and be themselves and hopefully be their best. And we encourage people to be around here, have a laugh, and you've got to enjoy it. You've got to enjoy life, because it's, especially in football, it can be a lot of pressure. There can be a lot more downs than ups as well. So, we want to try and smile and enjoy it.
How do you define achievement? Do you define it as staying up, or do you define it as changing people's views? Because I sat here before the Brighton game 6 months ago. I think probably, if everyone was being honest, everyone in the room thought if we're going to go down and probably finish bottom. You're now in a position whereby you're within 5 points of 4 or 5 other teams. You are very much in the conversation to stay up. So have you already achieved, or do we have to hold that until you?
I think we're in the process of achieving something. I think this is a long-term thing. And I think as long as this club will continue to grow, whatever happens this year, because it's a really good plan. We've got brilliant people that are running the club, and we're not gonna be forced into sales or people losing jobs and things like that. If the worst was to happen and we go down, we continue to build and grow and we get better. So I think this club's on a real upward trajectory, whatever happens. People's views will change if we get results and we keep performing well. But that's not top of my priority list. My job is to try and help grow this football club, try and help, that is, by the way. I'm just a small part of it, along with all the staff and Gary and the board. So I think we're achieving something because we're continuing to grow and build the club. It's not ended at the end of this season, whatever happens.
You've gone through so much already, though. What have you learned this 5-6 months?
Loads, too much to say now, I think. But I think it's given me and I think the lads a lot of confidence that we can perform at this level. I don't think there's been too much that surprised us. I think there's been stuff that we've learned. We're going to continue to grow and get better, and hopefully I will as well. But I think it's shown us that we can perform at this level. But every game and every day will throw up something where you learn. That's just part of this job. But I think the biggest thing is that we've learned that we deserve to be here, and I think we're showing that.
You were very complimentary a few minutes ago about Burnley, and every manager is always complimentary about the team they're going to play. I've never get a manager who sit there and go, "Yeah, the opposition are rubbish." But they have taken some thumpings. You've been beat. Have only been beaten by 1 goal. So why are you going there? Not with an inferiority complex, but with a kind of like, this is going to be more difficult than Sheffield United or Man City at home or Arsenal.
Well, I haven't said that. I'm just saying it's a really, really difficult game, and we're going to respect them like we respect everyone. If we're not at our best, we'll lose the game. You know, that's just simple. Unless they're really, they're way off it as well, and it's just an awful game. You know, but we've got to make sure we're at it in the Premier League to get anything from any game. So we'll look after us and our performance, but we respect everyone moves because they're good footballers. They're really well coached. They really are, and it's going to be a very, very difficult game. And away from home, every game away from home in the Premier League is hard.
And finally, you've never dodged a question from the other. So here we go. How long is Ross Barkley's contract?
You've got to do a little bit of research, Moose.
Save me the time.
No, I'll have to go and ask someone as well, but I think it's longer than a year. Thanks, mate.
Rob, just one from me. Obviously, marvellous even this missing. You've got somebody Lokonga coming in his place. How's he settled in and how's he interested in the time?
Yeah, Sambi's been brilliant. We brought him to the football club because we really liked him as a player. When I went to go and meet him, and we're sort of selling him my dream and what we hopefully we can give him and how we can help each other, and he's certainly doing that now. He was unfortunate early on to get an injury after a couple of games, and I think in those games against Fulham and Wolves, he straight away showed how good a player he is. He was out for a significant period of time with his hamstring, but it's great to have him back now and performing well because he's a really good footballer. He's really intelligent. He can take the ball. He's working extremely hard, which is a non-negotiable for us anyway. And I just really like him as a lad. He's a diamond of a lad. So.
Cameras off now then, and